What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. We're here breaking down the Xfinity 500 at Martinsville Speedway for the final cutoff race for the round of 8, and we'll see who punches their ticket to the round of 4 for the championship race at Phoenix next weekend. I just want to mention I was at the race last week at Homestead. Absolutely incredible. Obviously, I would have loved Hamlin or Ryan Blaney to win. Those are my two drivers, and they are 1-2 with like 1 to 2 laps left to go. And unfortunately, they somehow do not win. Tyler Reddick, incredible move in the final turn and gets the win, but fortunately, my drivers didn't win, but incredible race to be there, experience, and watch. So I'm very grateful for that. It's my birthday today, so maybe Ryan Blaney, because I don't think Denny Hamlin's going to win with him starting in the back. Maybe Blaney can get me a win to at least make up for last week and punch his ticket to the final 4. But anyway, I know it's not your first time here. We only have 2 races left in the season, which makes me very sad. But fortunately enough, NASCAR's off season is pretty much the shortest of all sports, and it goes for what, like 10 months of the year almost. So I mean, you really can't complain. But I do have NFL content each and every single week if you want to check that out when NASCAR ends up being done. And really quick, I got to give a shout out to last week's comment contest winner, Jared Gora, 3830, who I think this is the first time all season we've actually had somebody nail it. Tyler Reddick led 97 laps, with the most of all drivers, and he gets 97, so shout out to him. That was pretty awesome. And if you want to join this week, all you got to do is comment down below who you think will lead the most laps and how many. The winner will get a cash prize. If you enjoy, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe channel for brand new. Let's dive right into it. All right, let's talk some strategy here for Martinsville. Pretty unique track. It's a short flat track, which we have several in the series, but Martinsville itself is pretty unique in the fact that it's really just a small, skinny paperclip, half-mile in length, and we have 500 laps this weekend. So this is the most dominant points of any race we'll have besides the Bristol race all season long. The dominators are extremely important here. Yes, some place differential plays I'm sure will look good. I know Denny Hamlin will be making his qualifying lap, but you know, if you can nail these dominators up front, they could easily outscore Denny Hamlin, so it's something to consider when you're looking at salary ranges. But yeah, dominator points, really important. I mean, we have 350 up for grabs. I mean, there's definitely a chance several drivers could score over 100 plus points in this race, assuming there is not just one main dominator like we saw with Kyle Larson at Bristol, where he pretty much got every single point possible. If you're looking for similar tracks, like I said, this is pretty unique, so drivers that are good here just tend to be good here. Obviously, there could be a couple of surprises, but you know, all the short flats like New Hampshire, Richmond, Phoenix, Gateway, I'm forgetting one off the top of my head. You can look at who's been fast at those tracks, and they can translate some, but Martinsville is pretty unique. I do want to mention they are running a different tire this weekend. I guess it's like the softest tire they have ran on the left sides, and the right sides, I believe, are but they ran at the first Martinsville race, or not, the second Richmond race at night when they were running the prime tire, and then also North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. And finally, moving on to the driver-by-driver breakdown, I did to mention one thing first, and that is, of course, if you want to join the best NASCAR and NFL DFS community out there, I also cover NBA every single day. I'll be honest, NASCAR is pretty much over, but we have the NFL content and NBA content in full swing, so if you want to come in, check out all of that. It's all similar to the NASCAR stuff and projections for all sites, optimizers, ownership projections, cheat sheets, and you know, everything's color code nice and neat, so it's easy to follow. So if you want to come in and check that out, you're going to find it like we found down below, and prices are very fair compared to everybody else in the industry right now, which is kind of insane. And as you all know, I'm a partner of Stokecast. I love the stuff that they do over there, and if you want to take your game to the next level, have all the tools you need over there. You can use the contest simulator, pre-contest simulator, see which drivers, players, fighters, whatever sport it may be, and whatever day of the week it is, see which offer the most ROI before the race, event, whatever it may be, starts. Then you can also check out which times stack up the best in tournaments and much more. You can upload my projections, your own, or use the ones already preset on the site. And if you want to check it out, make sure you tell them I sent you by using the link down below. All right, practice and qualifying just ended like a couple of minutes ago. So we have the whole practice chart up here. And you're going to see mainly the playoff drivers kind of littered up top here. We have Denny Hamlin, although unfortunately for him, not going to a backup car, but did wreck it in practice. I guess it was something stuck with the throttle, whatever issue it was. Before that, had an extremely fast car. Would not have been surprised to see that thing. Got put in the pole, or at least in the top 5, but he has his work cut out for him. Then C. Bell, Chase Elliott, Truex not in the playoffs, but that thing on the pole, and that car looks really, really good. Also in the auto owner's paint scheme, which we all know does have a pretty good resume. Then William Byron, then a couple of surprises mixed in, but it's kind of the dogs you'd expect. Look at the overall lap data. There was well over 100 laps for some of these drivers, or at least around 100 laps. So, and there is quite a bit of lap data here. I did my best to filter out all the bad laps that I could, but it's, you know, it's a little weird looking. I mean, you have guys like Josh Berry, Harrison Burton up there, but they did qualify well, so maybe it's not completely fake. I know it's a new tire, and these guys were testing it out, so I'm not sure if you want to put every thing into the practice session, but I mean, if you showed speed, you showed speed. It's not a bad thing. But let's go over to the five driver breakdown here. We'll start with the 5-figure range first. We have 6 of them this week. So DraftKings definitely did make it softer pricing this weekend. I remember last race, I think we had like what, 400 and 500 laps. They only had a couple of guys that were very high, which actually the pricing needs to be a little bit more steep. But anyway, you're going to see the big glaring 37th place starting position here for Denny Hamlin. And obviously a lot of people will flock to him. And my thought process was, when I knew he wasn't going to make his qualifying lap, I'm like, well, I bet there's going to be a couple of drivers up in this 10K plus range that are going to be in the front row. And if they dominate the race, I mean, they could easily outscore Denny Hamlin. Because if you look at the heat map, you're going to see Denny, if he finishes top 10, which is certainly possible. That's a lot of place differential points. But I would say it's very hard for Denny Hamlin to dominate in this position. So he lacks that 100-point plus upside. We did see Christopher Bell, I believe, lead 150 laps and win the race, starting from 20th, I believe, in the 2022 fall race. So I'm not going to say it's impossible. You never know with the pit sequence. He could get himself up front, so I'm not saying it's impossible. I just think it's unlikely. Thing is, though, we have a Martin Truex Jr. at $9,300 who starts in the pole, who looks like should be the main dominator, at least early on. So that gives us some more flexible pricing to where it might be easier than I thought to play Denny Hamlin, because Kyle Larson starting at 9th, he's not a lock to dominate. Same with Ryan Blaney at $11,000, 14th. Byron Elliott, obviously the other main contenders here that could potentially dominate. But I do think it's going to be easier to play Denny Hamlin, because if I am playing, say, Martin Truex Jr. starting in first, and then I pair him, I could just pair him with a Chase Elliott when I just lock up the front row for dominator points, or William Byron. You don't have to play all 3. You can probably slide in Denny Hamlin as well. So I would say for cash games, yeah, he would be the staple up here, because we can pair him with a cheaper dominator, potentially in Martin Truex Jr. Other than that, like I said, William Byron, Chase Elliott, those are your main dominators in this 5-figure range. They're starting close to the front. And if Truex isn't going to dominate, it's more than likely going to be one of those 2 drivers, both really good at the short flat tracks, and both have had success at Martinsville in the past, and they both need to do well to advance. So, I mean, they're going to be highly motivated to perform and run well in this race. Kyle Larson's in a weird spot. That's just very expensive for me. His numbers at short flat tracks and Martinsville in the next gen have been pretty good, but I just think his dom upside's a little bit less than these other drivers. Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, kind of the same play here, both really good at short flat tracks. Ryan Blaney, one of the best drivers in the next gen era at Martinsville, so I will definitely have exposure to them. But on FanDuel, like on DraftKings, I could see myself having more Byron and Elliott than Blaney Bell, but on FanDuel, I'd rather have Bell and Blaney, because the dominator points aren't going to be as important, if that makes sense. Dropping out of the 9K range, Joey Logano, one of the absolute best drivers at Martinsville, just time in, time out. He'll be solid, but if I'm going to probably end up having more, because Joey Logano's locked in, I feel like just everything's probably going to the 12 car this week over in Penske, which is kind of my assumption of last weekend. I still played Joey last week just because he was starting so far back and he was cheap on FanDuel, but even then, he wasn't that great during the race. So I'd rather just play Truex here. Like, he has legitimate 100-point upside. If he loses the lead early on and fades back, yeah, that's the risk you run. But if he leads 200 laps in this race, you're going to want him in your lineups. Whether it be DraftKings or FanDuel, I think Marty's pretty much a staple this weekend. Tyler Reddick's starting in 31st, kind of in the same boat as Denny Hamlin. He's already locked in from the win last weekend, so it's not like he's going to be fighting for his life back there. But, with how far back he starts, that gives him a nice floor. But for me personally, I would rather put my ownership to Marty, get me those downer points, because he's kind of expensive at $9,000. And at a track like this, if I can, like $9,000 and up, I would try to get these guys that have potential dominator points. Like, yes, I will have Reddick, but at the same time, Ty Gibbs, Chase Briscoe, slight chance they could get some dominator points here, and that could definitely pay off. And there's always the chance that Tyler Reddick just gets stuck in traffic, he can't pass, and he goes a lap down, and then he's just fighting for like 18th to 24th at the end of the day. And then say Ty Gibbs gets 45 fast laps and finishes 4th. I'd rather have Ty Gibbs in that scenario, and the ownership might probably be swayed towards Tyler Reddick with that lower starting position. Then Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, they both look like very similar plays. It's always nice when the similar plays line up in price and starting position, because Gibbs and Briscoe are about the same. And I didn't really mention Briscoe, but Briscoe is really good here at Martinsville. Like, I'll certainly have him in my tournament lineup. I don't think I'd play him in cash games, but he's right there with Ty Gibbs. But Chastain and Kyle Busch, like, I don't think I'm going to have a ton of interest. On FanDuel, they're pretty cheap at 75 and 78. They could just limp their way to the top 15. But I'll be honest, I don't think I'm going to be overly excited about this. Looking at practice, Chastain was 12th, 21st, 29th, 29th. Kyle Busch kind of all over the board, 20th, 9th, and 30th. And Busch has just been horrible at short flat tracks in the next gen era. We're looking at Ross Chastain's numbers, 5 race sample size for Martinsville next gen. Average finish of 10th, 5 top 15s. Like, he's been pretty solid here, so I would definitely have a lean towards Chastain. And I do like him on FanDuel because of the price point. Then Brad Keselowski here starting at 18th. Next gen Martinsville for him, he's been okay, kind of bouncing around 15th to 20th place. He hasn't been anything extraordinary. And back in the day, he led almost 500 laps in a race, but those days are long gone. So I don't really have a ton of interest in Keselowski. I would say he's probably lower owned than Ross Chastain, but he's not someone I'm actively playing. Dropping down to the 7K range, we have Bubba Wallace. He's going to be in 19th. I like the DraftKings price tag on FanDuel, though, at $10,000. I just don't really see myself getting there. Based off of practice, it looks like he's got a borderline top 10 car, and Martinsville has been a pretty strong track for him. Average finish inside the top 10, been in the top 20 every single time in 3 top 10 finishes in 5 races. Man, FanDuel at $10,000, that's tougher. On DraftKings, I don't mind that at all. It's $7,800. I think I'd rather play him over a guy like Keselowski personally. Alex Bowman's starting a little bit far up for me, but the thing is, track position is probably going to be really important. He's got a fast car. All the Hendrick cars are probably going to be fast this weekend, although unfortunately for Bowman, he's the one that's not in the playoffs, so probably getting the worst of that bunch. But the track position is what keeps you interested. But for me personally, I think I'd rather take Bubba because I think at the end of the race, you would see them probably pretty similar as far as their running position, finish position upside would be. Chris Buescher, $7,500, really cheap on FanDuel. He'll be starting in 26. Practice was pretty bad for him. 36 in the one lap, and 31st, 26th, 20th, 18th. Martinsville numbers, like, they're pedestrian, like, they're okay. Average finish to 15th. He's been in the top 15 4 out of 5 races. Like, he offers you a place differential upside. The only concern is if he goes a lap down early on, but he's not going to be the only car a lap down. There's going to be quite a bit of them, so, depending on how green it goes. But if you go a lap down and finish 14th here, I think that's fine. If you start in 26, I think Busch is solid. I'd rather play him over Alex Bowman personally. Josh Berry in 11th. I like pretty much all of SHR is always playable at these short flat tracks, it seems. They tend to run pretty well at these. Only one race for Josh Berry in next gen, had a running position of 16th. It's all right. I'm not a big fan of Berry here. I'd rather play Buescher personally. I don't know if I'd rather play Cindric. It's pretty close. I guess starting in 24th is going to give him the slight edge there. I don't think he's going to finish as well, but if he finishes 18th, that's not the end of the world. And then Daniel Suarez is really just not really any interest there. Boring play, met play, finishes where he starts. I don't really see much upside at all. I know he was quick in the shorter run in practice, but that's still not going to entice me enough, I don't believe. Dropping down to the 6K range, Ryan Preece at $6,900. He'll be starting in 8th, and I like him, actually. He's really good at Martinsville. He's good at the short flat tracks. We're looking at his 3-race sample size here. I know it's small. He's been in the top 20 every time. Running position of 13th, average finish of 14th. The track position should help him stay in the lead lap. And I could see a scenario where, some of these place differential plays, they just get stuck down there. Ryan Preece is running 11th, and he mixed in some fast laps. Not bad. The ownership shouldn't be too high because his price tag's higher than it normally is. Noah Gragson in 25th. He's part of the SHR clan. Did not run well here in his 3-race sample size, running position of 24th. I don't see a lot of upside here if you're looking at practice. Kind of pretty bad, honestly. 31st, 33rd, 31st, 28th. I think there's better plays. Carson Hocevar practiced much better than Noah Gragson. He starts a couple spots further back. I could see myself going there over Gragson. Todd Gillen in 13th. Austin Dillon in 10th. These are just tough plays to get to, but at the same time, the track position will help them out. Unless they really screw something up at the beginning where they lose 5 spots and they just keep fading back, you can pretty much hold your running position here for a while at Martinsville because passing is so difficult. But we'll see if the tires end up wearing more than we expect. I mean, we're supposed to see more tire wear this weekend. We'll see what ends up happening during the race. I know after we get several laps down, it's going to start rubbering up and it won't be as bad. But it can help them out just because of that. I would say maybe a slight lean towards Gillen, a little bit quicker in practice, and just starts 3 spots further back. But these are not plays you're really trying to get too much. SVG, I'm going to pass on. Very slow. Michael McDowell, it's in a dead spot with these other guys. Eric Jones, not a lot of interest with the short flats typically. I mean, these are just all ugly plays here that I don't really feel like getting to. But dropping out of this 5K range, it's pure garbage. Like, yeah, Zane Smith has place differential and he didn't practice as bad as he qualified. But, I mean, someone's got to run second class. And who's to say it's not Zane Smith? Like, is he that much better than anybody else here? Like Haley, Nemechek, Burton, LaJoy, Emmerich, all these guys suck. Martinsville is one of those races where you just really need to nail your guys up top. Like if playing Daniel Hemrick means I can afford Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin together, like whatever. Just give me 8 points. Don't wreck out. Some other guys are going to have issues, and then the rest can work out. So if you're punting down here, like it's to afford the studs up top, which you need to have at a track like this. So I'm fine with it, but I'm not going to tell you right now that there's any standout plays down here. It's absolutely horrible. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you all